Could it be? Me, Louie Tee. Welcome to Lockdown Coverage. Week number 9 in the National Football League. Go, Pack, go. Go, Pack, go. That's right, the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field hosting the Indianapolis Colts. This is supposed to be an easy cinch of a win for the Packers at home, right? Right? Wrong. We're going to jump into this one in a second. But first, as always, welcome to the Louie Tee Network. I, of course, am your man, Louie Tee, looking to welcome you to the Louie Tee Network. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Louie Tee Network for more great content in 2016 and beyond. We over here changing the game, man. And we're looking for more people to help us do that. So hit the subscription button to help change the game on the Louie Tee Network. I'm also on Twitter. @InTheLabRoom is the Twitter handle. There are a number of different ways that you can catch up with me. One, probably the easiest, most convenient is Twitter. Hit me up @InTheLabRoom. Follow me on Twitter @InTheLabRoom. And to be honest with you, the best way to know when live videos are coming up, Twitter. Turn on those notifications. So go ahead, hit me up on Twitter. Also, I am on Facebook. In the Lab Room is the Facebook page. All of my social media platforms right up above there. So check them out. Go ahead and like the Facebook page. Give me that thumbs up. In the Lab Room. Subscribe to the Louie Tee Network on Facebook and In the Lab Room on Twitter. Go ahead and follow me there. So let's jump into this breakdown. Green Bay Packers and the Indianapolis Colts. Look, Colts were basically up against the wall. All right, you ran out of chances. You've blown opportunities to win. The one that sticks out the most, the one that's probably the most gut-wrenching is the loss at Houston, a division loss, a game you had, the team you're chasing, all of those good things. You had it right in front of you, and with 3 minutes left in the game, up 14, you blow it. So that's the one that stings the most right now. So you run out of chances. Got to have this one if you're the Indianapolis Colts. And in all places, Lambeau, you got to go and get one against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau. That doesn't mean what it used to mean. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But let's jump into this breakdown. Likes, dislikes, banana in the tailpipe. We start with the road team, obviously, as we always do, with the likes in the first half of the game for the Indianapolis Colts. The opening kickoff. It doesn't get much better than this. Opening kickoff, 99 yards, Jordan Todman out the gate. Touchdown. Just like that. If you're the Indianapolis Colts, you can't get a better start to the game than that. You're a team on the road. You're searching for confidence. You don't want to fall behind. And voila, opening kickoff, touchdown. Just like that, you're up 7-0. And just like that, you would never trail in this game. How good is that? So that's a huge start for a team looking for confidence, looking to build a little momentum early in a ball game. Fast start. To me, that kickoff return was the linchpin of that 14-3 fast start game by the Indianapolis Colts. And despite some mistakes by Andrew Luck, they were up 14-3 in the first quarter, and they were in control of this football game. And again, when your team's struggling to put some wins together, you're on the road, back against the wall situation. It's so early, you hate to start talking about must-win games when you're only in week 9. But looking at the Colts and what they've been through this year, to drop to 3-6, hard to imagine them running the table or winning their final 6 out of 7 games or whatever it would take for them to get to a respectable enough record to challenge the Texans in that division. You just hate to put yourself in a position where you'd have to win 7 straight, 6 out of 7, 5 out of 7, to even put yourself in a position to compete in that division. You need to get this one. And so to start 14-3, I thought it was huge for the Indianapolis Colts in this game. 15-play, 96-yard drive right before the half. To me, this is where the game really was won. Now, we could talk about some things at the end, and we will, that put this game on ice for them. When they had to have it, they got it. But to me, these are the types of drives I talk about right before the half all the time. I think it's a critical period and juncture of the game because a lot of things transpire right before the half. Momentum can be won, it can be lost right before the half. And again, any points gained right before half can swing the momentum and turn the tide in a football game. Could be the ultimate deciding factor in a ball game. Again, there's still another half of football to play. You hate to put this much emphasis on scoring before halftime, but I tell you what, a lot of games are won and lost between managing and mismanaging the end of halves, whether it's first or second half. You mismanage the end of the first half and mess up an opportunity to get 3 and you lose the game by 2. Look, I'm not saying, I'm just saying. It's those types of plays, it's those types of situations where teams are able to find ways to get it done. Those prove to be the difference. In a game where the Colts win by 5, you get a 96-yard drive, 15 plays, execute it perfectly, and get into the end zone, and you win by 5. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Huge touchdown right before the half for as well as the Colts had played in the first half. They were only up 17-10, and the Packers tried to stop them inside the 5, and they would have gotten the football back with enough time for Aaron Rodgers to get that football and put them at least in field goal range, if not into the end zone, to potentially tie this game. So to get that touchdown, to not only get out of the shadow of your own goal post, but to take it down the length of the field and get in the end zone, that to me was monumental. 24-10 halftime lead for the Indianapolis Colts. You go to the first half lights for the Green Bay Packers. 2 Clinton Dix interceptions. He's playing at a phenomenal level to me. Right now, the 2 best safeties in the NFC, and you could argue in the entire league right now, playing football are Clinton Dix for the Green Bay Packers and Landon Collins, 2 former Alabama safeties. These guys are playing at a phenomenal level. Dix with 2 interceptions in the first half. Really, those are some key interceptions because if not, the Colts might be up by more than just 11 at the end of the first quarter. Both of those picks coming in the first quarter of Andrew Luck. Jordy Nelson with a touchdown off of one of those picks. So turning points, picks or turnovers into points, another huge one of my components to winning games. If you can generate turnovers, that's great because you stop an opportunity from the other team to score. But to me, the biggest benefit of a turnover is shortening the field and giving your offense a better opportunity to score. What your offense does with that football is going to be huge in the outcome of the game. Taking one of those interceptions and turning it into a Jordy Nelson touchdown, huge for the Packers at that juncture of the game. They were down 14-3, being dominated. You get the pick, and that turns into a touchdown by Jordy Nelson, cuts that deficit from 11 to just 4 at 14-10. You go to the first half dislikes for both teams, and you go to the Indianapolis Colts. Thrown interception by Luck, and there were 2 of them, so I'll go ahead and lump them in together. He got hit on one of them. Ball kind of flutters in the air, picked off by Clinton Dix. The second one was just a bad decision and a pick by Clinton Dix. And again, just a situation. Andrew Luck hasn't had many of these this year. You know, that's one of the knocks on him, one of the bugaboos. Andrew Luck, turn the football over. Always turn it over. Got to be more careful and take care of the football. Well, he's done that for the most part this season. This is his first multiple interception game of the season. But again, you don't want to see that, especially when you're up 14-3 and in command of the game. You'd love to see them just put the Packers out of reach early in this game. Instead, you turn it over a couple of times. Darius Butler with a missed interception attempt, which is wrestled away from him by Jordy Nelson for a touchdown. Now, I was blaming it on the hand. Remember, this guy had a cast on his hand just a week ago. All right, for the last month and some change, Darius Butler has been playing with a cast on his hand. And then you turn around and you see him have the football snatched from him, and I'm like, okay, I'm telling my dad and everybody who's watching the game with me, I say, hey, cut him some slack. The guy just had his cast removed from his hand. He's still got a soft cast on his hand. If you look closely, it's the black wrap, not the white thick wrap that he had going for him the last couple of weeks. But then he makes that killer interception in the second half, and it's a beautiful diving stab, and you're like, wait a minute, you can catch. Your hand isn't impeded at all. You can catch, so you should have caught the first one. So then I went back and said, give me back my damn sympathy I gave you earlier, man. You should have caught that first one and let Jordy Nelson take the football from him. So that was another dislike for me in the first half. You go to the Packers in their first half dislikes, giving up the opening kickoff touchdown. You can't do that. You're at home. You need momentum early. You want the crowd to be involved. You can't do that. Can't give up an opening 99-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. That can't happen. Missed field goal off of the first interception by Clinton Dix. Look, you got to capitalize off of turnovers. Simple as that. So the Packers, first drive, they get down the field. They don't get the touchdown. They got to settle for a field goal. So they get on the board, but it's not 7. You want 7. Then you get the interception by Luck. You're like, okay, let's go get 7 now. And then you get in the field goal range, and Mason Crosby misses. So you're talking about 2 opportunities early in the game, one to get in the end zone, and you had to settle for a field goal. The other, just getting points after a turnover, and you failed to get to deliver in both of those situations. Looking for a touchdown on one hand, on the other hand, you say, okay, we got a turnover. These are free points. Let's take this 3, and you miss. So I thought the Packers early on just struggled, and that allowed the Colts to get out to that quick start I talked about earlier, 14-3. Giving up another big kickoff return. Look, special teams, you got to win special teams. If you're not going to win on the offensive side of football, which the Packers didn't do for much of this game, then you need to win special teams and defense, and they didn't do it. And they gave it up on special teams in this game. Special teams impacted them in a negative way, and it hurt them throughout this ball game. Missed Air Jordy. Big ball by Aaron Rodgers, and I'm going to lump this next one in. The very next play, Jeff Janis has a beautifully thrown football go off his face mask for a drop. These are the plays the Packers used to hit routinely. Aaron Rodgers used to hit these in his sleep. Jordy Nelson to Aaron Rodgers was a game break every week on Fox. Every week for the last 4 out of 5 years. Of course, last year, Jordy Nelson being out, that was the 1 year that was absent. But for the last 4 out of 5 years, that game break, or the 3 years prior to Jordy Nelson going down with the injury, that was a staple in Fox coverage. Let's go to Green Bay for a quick game break. Jordy Nelson, 67-yard touchdown from Aaron Rodgers. That was a staple of my Sunday football experience. Those guys don't hook up anymore. It's like they don't even know each other. It's like they're not friends anymore. And it's not just Jordy. Everybody, oh, Jordy doesn't get separation, yada, yada. Aaron Rodgers is missing the deep ball. And you know one of my criteria, one of the prerequisites for being a great quarterback in this league, accurate deep ball play. You got to have deep ball accuracy. And right now, Aaron Rodgers' deep ball accuracy and placement isn't what it used to be. And I don't know if that's something that, he's just struggling with right now and he'll get it back, but it's not what it used to be. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the breakdown, but I just want to caution you that we will come back to that subject matter, but it's not the same. Jeff Janis got to catch the football. You get an opportunity to play. You get an opportunity to make a big play, catch football. And then giving up the touchdown before the half, that was backbreaking. I mean, crippling to this Packers football team. You're already down 17-10, but you say, look, we played a poor first half, and we're only down 7. And you had a chance, really, to either tie the game or cut it to 4 with a field goal. If you get a stop after pinning them down inside the 5, inside the 10-yard line, and they're on, third down situation, and you can't get that stop, and then they think to themselves, we just want to give ourselves some space to punt. And then it goes from, well, let's just get a first down to, hey, let's just try to get this thing a little bit closer to midfield and then punt. Let's not give Aaron Rodgers a lot of time. Then it went from there to, hey, maybe we can get a field goal. Then it went from, hey, maybe we can get a field goal to, hey, maybe we can get in the end zone. And next thing you know, 15 plays later, touchdown, 96 yards, and just like that, you're down 14 instead of the 7 that you initially were going to be down at the half. It's a tough, tough pill to swallow going into the halftime break down. And the crowd let you have it. They booed them into the locker room down 24-10. Let's go back to the lights in the second half, and we'll go to the Indianapolis Colts. Darius Butler with the interception. I talked about that diving stab he made in the second half of the game. That's what made the first half snatch away by Air Jordy that much more disappointing. Is that, hey, man, you can catch. I was cutting you some slack. I was giving you a break. Man, you can catch. So that was disappointing to see that one get away from you, but that was a big play. That took points off the scoreboard in a game that you ultimately win by 5. Huge turn of events there by Darius Butler. The final possession by the Indianapolis Colts is on my likes list. They didn't do much right in the second half, did the Colts. Gave up a sizable lead, took their foot off the gas pedal, allowed the Packers to get back into this game in an instant. But when they needed to make plays on that final possession, Andrew Luck, and his numbers weren't great, but they were when they needed him the most, when his team said, hey, Luck, we need you. He said, I got you. Big, big plays on a third down. Ha-Ha Clinton-Dix comes free off the edge on a safety blitz, and he's there. Andrew Luck is able to shrug him off and find Jack Doyle wide open over the middle of the field. And 9 times out of 10, when you get a scot-free blitzer that comes unaccounted for and doesn't get the sack, somebody's going to be open down the field, and Luck was able to find Jack Doyle. That was a huge play, but they still needed one more first down. And on a critical third down, Andrew Luck finds T.Y. Hilton over the middle for a huge game-ending play, big play. And you saw the relief and the excitement and the joy on the face of Chuck Pagano, who just realized, all right, we got it. He was nervous. He was a nervous wreck over there as he saw the Packers getting back into this game, but they were able to get it done. And so I thought that last possession by the Colts to put this game on ice was huge, because if they gave that football back to Aaron Rodgers, they were going to lose this game. There's no doubt in my mind. You go to the Green Bay Packers, and the only like in the second half for me is the tempo. I thought that they sped up the tempo at the end of the game when they realized, okay, hell, we're down big now. We might as well go for the gusto. I thought that they did some really good things. They scored in 1 minute and 55 seconds on one possession. Then they scored in 1 minute and 58 seconds on the next possession. And just like that, they were down 5 in this ball game at 31-26, and it was all because of tempo. And I don't understand why more teams don't do this. If you're having trouble getting into an offensive rhythm, change the tempo up a little bit. I'm not saying you got to go hurry up all the way down the field, but change the tempo. Go into a muddle huddle, a little mush rush, where you get up to the line and maybe you're not going to snap it until 10, but you're looking around, you're making sure everybody's set, you see what the defense. Don't let guys off the field. And so they sped up the tempo, and I thought that gave them a chance in the game that they were getting drubbed in just around the midpoint of the fourth quarter. You go to the dislikes in the second half. For the Indianapolis Colts, it's the fourth quarter defense. This game was over after Luck and company get in the end zone on a Frank Gore run to extend the lead out to 31. I believe it was 31-14 at that time of the game. 31-13, I believe it was at that point in the game. This game was over. 31-13. You can go ahead and if you got some things you need to do before that Sunday night epic matchup coming up between Denver and Oakland, go ahead and knock that stuff out. This game's over with, right? Right? Wrong. And the reason it wasn't over was because of this Colts defense. I thought they went soft on us. I thought they said, okay, we're going to keep everything in front of us. We're going to give up everything underneath. And Aaron Rodgers started to get surgical with the football, started to pick them apart, started using his legs. Everything that they had done to build that lead, they threw it away in trading for not giving up a deep shot over the top. And Aaron Rodgers was able to pick them apart, and he did it so quickly. And I thought it all started with that personal foul penalty on the cornerback, Vontae Davis, that really kick-started that drive to me, and that comeback really, because after that, they go right down the field, they get in the end zone, they get the football back after a defensive stop, go right back down the field again, get another touchdown. And I thought Mike McCarthy did something wrong there. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, but in any event, boom, just like that, you're back in this game. So that to me was the dislike for the Indianapolis Colts. Other than that, offensively, they did enough. They were right there. They made some plays on special teams. They did everything they needed to do to win except put it away like they were supposed to, but they got it done at the end, and that's all that matters. Going to the Packers and their dislikes for the second half, A-Rod throwing the interception to Darius Butler, taking points off the scoreboard. Great play, first of all, by Butler to dive, lay out, and catch that football, but Aaron Rodgers got to be better than that. You cannot throw an interception there. You know better than that. Give Mason Crosby a chance to put 3 points on the scoreboard. Could have been huge in a game that was decided by 5 points. And it also alters the decision-making later on in the game if you have that field goal on the scoreboard. So, again, don't make that mistake if you're Aaron Rodgers. Devontae Adams open on a deep ball, and Aaron Rodgers overshooting him by about 5 yards. Okay, let's talk about this because this is starting to irk me now with Aaron Rodgers. Look, A-Rod is still the man, okay? But he's the man from the intermediate to short passing game right now. He's not the man deep like we're accustomed to seeing. And that's, to me, what makes Aaron Rodgers different from 85 to 90% of the quarterbacks in this league, is his ability to have the uncanny ability to hit the deep ball. And right now, he's not doing that with the consistency with which we've come accustomed to. I talked about Jordy Nelson being open earlier in the game. That should have been a touchdown, if not a huge chunk of yardage down inside the Indianapolis Colts 20-yard line. This Devontae Adams miss, this is a touchdown. If Aaron Rodgers hits him in stride, which he's done for years, this is a touchdown. Instead, he misses him by about 3 to 5 yards. That's un-Aaron Rodgers-like, but we've seen that throughout the course of this season. This is a problem because If Aaron Rodgers isn't hitting the deep ball, he's just like 80% of the rest of the league at the quarterback position. You must hit the deep ball, and he's not hitting. And so even though these numbers don't bear it out, this isn't the same Aaron Rodgers. He's not the same OG that we've been seeing gunslinging and slicing up the league for the last damn near decade. The guy that we always say, if you're starting in an NFL franchise, who's the one player you're going to take? I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers. He's not looking like that guy right now. And one of the biggest reasons why, he's not hitting the deep ball. Got to start hitting that deep ball with some consistency again in order to be the Aaron Rodgers we've all come to know and love. And finally, I thought Mike McCarthy dropped the football for his team. You can't go for 2 on that first touchdown. And Phil Simms doesn't get much things right. He doesn't get many things right, I should say, on the telecast. He didn't get much right. But he got that right. He said, I wouldn't go for 2 here. Or as he would say it, I wouldn't go for 2 here, Jim. He was right. I said, hey, I said it before. I said, I wouldn't go for 2 here. What are you doing? Mike McCarthy knows better than this. You don't go for 2 in that situation because you still need another touchdown. So you play it's called playing the extend game. You extend the game. You play to extend the game. The way you do that in that situation, down 31-13, you scored a touchdown to Devontae Adams. All right, cool. You kick the extra point, make it 31-20. Now you need a touchdown, 2-point conversion, and a field goal to tie. You go for 2 after that first touchdown, and guess what? If you get it, great. Now you got the 2-point out of the way, which is one of the hardest things to do, and now you just got to score a touchdown and a field goal. Great. You're down 10, 21-31. But if you don't get it, the downside is bigger than the upside here. Because if you don't get it now, it's not optional. You need 2 touchdowns. You're down 12. You don't do that. And he knows better than that. I didn't understand why he did that. They didn't get it. The ball was deflected by the defender, and boom, just like that, you're down 31-19. Now you need 2 touchdowns for sure. You just hurt yourself. Don't do that. Don't do that. In any event, my final dislike is the Packers defense on the final possession of the game. Look, you got a free shot at the quarterback. Clinton Dix gets there. Get him on the ground. Come under control. Do what you got to do. You get a sack there, you're going to win the football game because they're going to have to punt. Aaron Rodgers is red hot, and that defense is reeling. Okay? You got him right where you want him. Instead, you give it up, and then you give it up to T.Y. Hilton, wide open over the middle of the field. What are you guys doing? Again, Packers just thought they had an opportunity, and when they needed a stop, they couldn't get a stop, and they end up losing the game. So, wow. Big win for the Colts. I didn't see them going into Lambeau and winning. Banana in the tailpipe for the Indianapolis Colts. This means, for me, I'm not falling for banana in the tailpipe. Oh, they went to Lambeau and won. They're going to come back and try to make some noise. This is not a consistently good football team. I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. This was a 1-week aberration. You'll be back to tripping all over yourself next week if you have a game next week. I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe that the Indianapolis Colts are seriously going to compete in the AFC South Division. I've seen this movie this year too many times to fall for it. You even tried to give this one away. Andrew Luck had to be magnificent late to stop you from throwing up all over yourself. Meanwhile, for the Green Bay Packers, not falling for the banana in the tailpipe that the Packers are all of a sudden this vulnerable football team that can't do anything right. I've seen this movie before as well. My dad tried to convince me that the Packers are garbage and anybody can beat them. And I'm not buying that because they're going to find ways to win. They almost came back and won this game. It's not the same. I will grant you this. This is not the same Packers team. Remember when the Packers at home were invincible? Like, you didn't want to go to Lambeau. Nah, that's not a good look for you. You're not going to come out of there with a W. Now, all of a sudden, we've seen the Cowboys go in there and dominate thoroughly. A Colts team that was reeling, that needed a W, that came off their worst performance of the season last week versus Kansas City at home, and you let them come into your house and beat you and really dominate you for 3.5 quarters? I don't know these dudes, but I'll tell you this. I'm still afraid of them. So I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. I still think they're going to be one of the 6 teams that makes it, even though right now they're currently 3rd in their division behind Detroit, who they've already beaten this season. I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. I still have confidence that the Packers will figure it out. They're a banged-up team. No Clay Matthews in this game. The secondary has been banged up for the entire season. If they ever get right, if they ever get healthy, look out for the Packers. Defensively, they're still solid. They're not where they want to be, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that they got some young guys at the cornerback position playing instead of the veterans that they've come to trust and know and love. So if they can ever get healthy, I'm still a little afraid of the Green Bay Packers. So with that being said, let's get to your comments for this game. Enrique Valencia says, I don't know how to feel about this W. Happy because we won or disappointed because Chuck Pagano survives the rest of the season. Look, Chuck isn't going on anywhere during the course of the season. You can't kill Chuck. You've seen that already too many times throughout the course of his career where he gets a big win that you didn't expect and it gives him more life. Chuck isn't going anywhere, so you can give that up. You should feel good about this win, but don't go overboard. As a Colts fan, you already know that this win means absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things because you can win this week and go and lay an egg next week. That's what the Colts do all the time. So I understand your apprehension as to getting excited about this win. Enrique Valencia says, I know the O-line only gave up 3 sacks, but is it me or is it ever a sack they get pushed way back too much? So in essence, he's asking, don't they get pushed back a ton too much? A little bit. It's not always immediate pressure on Andrew Luck. I mean, late in the game, when the Packers had to have it, he was able to find T.Y. Hilton over the middle of the field. I thought he had great protection on that play. So it's not always the case, but I'll tell you this much. The offensive line is getting better, and it doesn't take much to get better from where they came from. So I don't know if that's a backhanded compliment or if you just should say, okay, cool, we're getting better. Hirsch Patel says, where's the Cowboys versus the Browns lockdown coverage? I mean, why wouldn't you? Because it's a shit game anyway, but I'm just wondering. Haven't watched that game yet, so I haven't broken it down. So that's why I haven't broken it down yet. Paul George says, do you think this win will be a turning point for it could turn into a turning point and a rallying cry that they say, hey, look, what we did to Green Bay, we can do that to anybody. That's one of the toughest teams in the league. And we went into their house and we dominated them. But I've seen this movie with them before. I don't have confidence in them to take this win and spin it into a 3-game winning streak. I just don't have any confidence for them to do that. They've had opportunities to string together wins this season, and they failed to do so. So they haven't had a 2-game winning streak this season. I don't have any confidence in the Colts right now. Protect428 says, are the Pack done? Detroit is looking good. Minnesota has a tiebreaker against them. Dallas is ruling the conference, and Atlanta is more explosive and already have beat them. The Packers aren't done. That's what my banana in the tailpipe essentially suggested. I'm not going to give up on the Green Bay Packers. They still have Aaron Rodgers, and even though it's not the same old G that we've come to know and love, it's still Aaron Rodgers. You must we found that out in the playoffs last year. As a Redskin fan, I found that out the hard way. They were struggling. Oh, I want the Packers. I went out and I said, I want the Packers. And what did they do? They came in our house and blazed us. Aaron Rodgers is dangerous every time he steps on the field. And this Packers team is banged up. They still got Ty Montgomery at running back. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? This Packers team isn't the Packers right now because they don't have half of their roster healthy. When they get healthy, look out for the Green Bay Packers. The only thing that I can say is you hope that they don't get their roster back too late. That they're not waiting until week 13 for everybody to come back, and by then they're staring at a situation where they're 6-7 on the season, and you're like, wow, they're in trouble. You know, if they could get their guys back in a timely manner and say a week or two, they can make a run and really become a thorn in some team's side down the stretch of this season and put themselves in a position to get one of those wild cards or still win that division. Remember, everybody in their division is right there. Minnesota's struggling on a 3-game losing streak. Detroit right there, a half game ahead of them. They're right there. Everything they want is right in front of them. They just need to find a way to get healthy. If they can do that, this is a dangerous Packers team. I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. I already told you that, and I'm going to say it again. I am not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. The Packers, to me, are not done. So that's going to do it for this lockdown coverage of the Green Bay Packers and the Indianapolis Colts. Huge win, humongous win for the Indianapolis Colts as they get to 4-5 on the season with this win. 1 game under 500. This is a big win. They had to have this. To fall to 3-6 at this juncture of the season with the Texans at 5-3 and already having lost to the Texans, you'd have been in a world of hurt. Now at 4-5, you look at the schedule and the way things set up, you could be in a really advantageous position if you could start winning some ball games if you're the Indianapolis Colts after getting to 4-5 with a huge road victory versus the Green Bay Packers. For the Packers, it's simple. You got to find a way to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. You were supposed to win this game. At 4-4, it's not the end of the world. Everything, like I said, that you want in this season is still right there in front of you. The Vikings continue to struggle, so that helps you out. Had the Vikings been playing the type of ball they started off playing, you'd be in a world of hurt right now. But because the Vikings are on a 3-game losing streak, you're only a game out of first place, and you're only a half game out of second. You're right there. You just got to clean some things up, and you got to get healthy first and foremost. I think that's the most important thing for them right now as they head into the second half of their season. That's going to do it for me here on Lockdown Coverage. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here on Lockdown Coverage. Remember, we're changing the game one live feed at a time. Man, this Sunday night game is going to be a doozy. Can't wait to watch. And you know where to find me when that game hits the final whistle. Sunday Night Football overtime. For myself and all of you watching and all of you leaving comments, I thank you guys for that. Have a good one. Enjoy Sunday Night Football. We're going to be back to discuss an epic family business matchup in the AFC West. Raiders, the Oakland Raiders, looking to defend their home versus the Super Bowl defending champion, Denver Broncos. Winner of that game is in first place. I'll see you after the game. Have a good one.